Today I want to share with you what is social anxiety. Social anxiety is nervousness in social situations, and it's normal to feel nervous in some social situations. But it does not discriminate with anybody. It affects people of all ages, all races, and all cultures. And when social anxiety becomes excessive and persistent, it is known as a social anxiety disorder. Now, that disorder can also be called social phobia, and it is a term that's used in some institutions and organizations. I have a question for you. Do you fear that you might have said something wrong in a given situation? Do you worry about other people's disapproval of you? Are you afraid of rejection and not fitting in? Are you anxious to enter a conversation, afraid that you'll have nothing to talk about? Do you hide what's wrong when you just deep down inside you? Do you put up a defensive wall to protect your secret? And are you undergoing the daily chronic trouble of living with this mental disorder we call social anxiety disorder? It does begin in the early to mid-teens. However, we do know it can start in younger children and in adults at any age. It relates to everyday interactions causing significant anxiety, fear, self-consciousness, and the embarrassment because you fear you've been scrutinized and being judged by others. Are your symptoms, do you feel shy or very uncomfortable in certain situations? Does it interfere with your daily routine, your work, your school, and any of your other activities, be they social or sport? The emotional and behavioural symptoms are fear of situations in which you could be judged. You're worrying about embarrassing or humiliating yourself. You've got intense fear of interacting or talking with strangers, and you fear that others will notice that you actually look very anxious. Do you go on avoiding doing things or speaking to people out of fear of being totally embarrassed? Do you avoid situations where you might be the centre of attention? And do you have anxiety in anticipation of a feared activity or an event that may happen? Enduring a social situation with intense fear and anxiety is part of having a social anxiety disorder. Spending time after a social situation analysing your performance and identifying flaws in your interactions, expecting the worst possible consequences from a negative experience during a social situation. Your physical symptoms can be your excessive blushing, or you feel as if you're blushing all over, intense sweating, you're trembling, your body is shaking, your voice is shaking, and you may have frequent visits to the toilet. For children, anxiety can be shown in a variety of different ways. Crying is one of them. Temper tantrums, of course, we've all encountered those. Clinging to parents, not wanting to go because they're absolutely terrified. And of course, refusing to speak in social situations which can be compounded and continued to later life. Performance anxiety is a known social anxiety disorder. It is intense fear and anxiety during speaking or performing in public, be it to a large crowd or to a smaller crowd. This can relate to playing an instrument as well, to playing a sport like tennis or any sport, especially where judgment is passed. Living with social anxiety all day, every day. Is your life like this? Do you live in fear, apprehension? Do you practice avoidance? Are you in pain? And have you got anxiety of what you said? Please If you have some of these symptoms or any of these symptoms, act responsibly towards them. Get the right help, the help from a healthcare professional. If you recognize these signs and symptoms in other people, help those in need. Share your concerns with others. A problem shared is a problem halved. And these are some great resources that we have available at our disposal. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I will put these in the text relating to this video as well. Take care. I'll speak soon.